Did Milwaukee just change the game for battery-powered circular saws? Let's find out. Okay, so straight out of the box, this is what you get with the kit, at least the kit that I got. You get the actual saw. The blade comes with this, but the blade is not installed. You get your dust port adapter. Instructions, very important. All the packaging on these cheaper Milwaukee tools are just come in the cardboard box. This doesn't come with any kind of bag even or much less Packout case, which is fine because you're not, paying a ton of money for this saw. Before I put all this together, I just want to say right out of the box, you're getting with this tool what I call the Milwaukee feel. That the rubber grips on this front handle and also trigger handle are amazing. It's got good weight to the saw. The battery is not installed and the blade's not installed, but it's got some, it's not too heavy. You don't want it to be too heavy, but it just feels quality. I will say something I'm not a huge fan of with like Ryobi tools. Sometimes they just feel a little bit cheap. Does not feel that way at all. This is very comfortable in the hands. Of course, in a second, we're going to fire it up, but I just want to say right out of the box, this saw feels amazing. One thing just to make sure you know about this saw is that at least the package that I got, it does not come with any kind of M12 battery, and it of course does not come with an M12 battery charger. So you'll have to get that separately or find a different package than what I found. This is just what you get when you buy the saw. One quick note about installing your blade is this bolt right here is threaded the opposite way. So actually at the top when you're heading to the left, you're actually tightening because this is a saw blade that spins and you don't want it to, the manufacturers didn't want it to loosen when it spun, obviously. So that's why it's backwards. You can use this little locking mechanism here to make sure you get this good and tight. It locks the blade in place so you can tighten this, which is a super nice feature. And it just slipped because I let go. There it goes, locks and tighten. Once you have your saw blade installed, you can put this Allen wrench right back here. I'm a huge fan of any time you can have like on-tool storage for adjustment tools, because if I leave this around my shop, it's going to get lost, but it's really low profile. This Allen wrench can just stick right there, and then anytime I need to switch out the saw blade, I've got this right here. Also, one more note, just make sure anytime you're changing your blade or even like working on a vacuum adjustment, never have your M12 battery installed. You don't want this saw to start up on you when you're working on a saw blade. So make sure to keep your battery out of your tool. I'm a huge fan of the way that this vacuum adapter fits in. It just kind of slots in right there. This locks, and then you have one Phillips head screw that you insert back here. That is super handy. In just a second, we'll of course test how good this dust collection is, but I like the way that this attaches. It's really, really simple. Okay, so now that we have this saw put together a little bit, let me just tell you a little bit about it. This is an M12 circular saw. It's got a 5 3/8 inch blade. The way that Milwaukee markets this saw is they say this is your framing saw, because at full depth, this saw blade can basically only cut through dimensional lumber, so 2x4s, 2x6s when you're cutting the narrow side, or plywood, sheets of plywood. But really anything thicker than that, this saw is not going to be able to handle. But on the flip side, you're getting this at a lower price point. It's lower profile. It can run off the M12 battery platform, which is really nice. So that's the 5 3/8 M12 saw. Right now, in my shop, I only have the 1.5 amp M12 batteries, and I'm honestly planning on getting the, I think it's the 3 amp M12 batteries. It's the ones with like the square bottom. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I probably need to get some of those batteries because they'll just last a little bit longer in this saw. This saw is going to be pulling a lot more power than like an impact driver or an M12 drill would. All right, I've got the battery installed. I'm just going to fire this up for the first time. Okay, the reason that didn't work is because this has a trigger guard. You have to pull this down and then pull the trigger. I actually really like that feature. So here we go. Wow. Okay, a couple of things. First, this is super quiet, very, very quiet. And then when you let go of the trigger, it stops on a dime. That is really, really nice. A couple other features that I want to point out is you do have a battery indicator right here, which tells you every time you start the saw how much charge is left on your M12 battery. It's right up here by your trigger. At first, I actually didn't think that this had a battery indicator, so that's kind of a pleasant surprise. Also, you have a nice LED light that's kind of shining towards the front of your saw blade. I really like that. Few other features about this circular saw that, I'm gonna take this out, are pretty standard. This can cut bevels up to 50 degrees. The main thing I look for in a circular saw is that, you just adjust this here. The main thing I look for is that it can cut over 45 degrees. If it can cut over 45, that's gonna allow you to do most of what you would need to do with a table saw when it comes to cutting bevels. Like if you wanted to hide a corner of some plywood or something like that, 45 degrees is your angle there. The way you adjust the depth of your blade back here, you just kick this up, and then you've got your adjustment there. So don't forget, same safety tip as always. You want the least amount of your saw blade exposed. That's true whether you're working with a circular saw like this or a table saw. If you're cutting, a little veneer, something really, really thin, you don't want all this blade exposed. So be sure to adjust that just for safety. And then one more cool thing is this has a little hook. This is not something that's normal for circular saws. This just kind of folds out like that, and you can hang this on a belt. You could hang this on a tool rack. I just thought that's pretty cool. That's metal, by the way. Feels really good. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty nice features. Oh, one more thing. It doesn't come with this, but this has an attachment or a place for an attachment that you can get a rip guide. So this just kind of clips in here, and if you want to go, parallel to the edge of a piece of plywood or a board, you can buy the rip guide. I don't have the rip guide, so can't really tell you if I like it or not, but it has that option. Okay, sweet. So next, what we're gonna do, let's test this thing out. Let's see how it actually cuts when we're, working on a project. Okay, we're gonna first test this by cutting through some 1/2-inch plywood that has a black walnut veneer. Also on the ends, you can see this has like a 1-inch strip of black walnut hardwood. So we're just gonna go all the way through this and see how it holds up. First impressions, I'm pretty impressed, honestly. You can definitely tell when I got to cutting this thicker hardwood, kind of slowed down a little bit. It had no problem at all with this plywood. One more thing, I'm just telling you things I'm learning as I go. You have to, of course, hold down this trigger to start the saw, but then once you're in your cut, you can let go of this safety trigger. You don't have to hold down both. You can, but you can let go of this and just hold on to the trigger if you want to. All right, I'm gonna make a few more cuts. This is a fully charged 1.5 amp M12 battery. I'm gonna see how many cuts I can make before this battery dies. As far as battery life is concerned, I made 6 of those all the way through the plywood cuts, and I still have, according to this, half battery left. And that's with the 1.5 amp. So if you had the 3 amp battery, you'd have an even longer battery life. So I will say, for what this is, a framing circular saw that's going to mostly be intended for cutting down 2x4s and plywood, your battery life is going to be really, really good. Now, Milwaukee claims on the box that it can cut up to 190 cuts per per battery. Of course, they don't say what kind of cut that is, so I find that, you know, not misleading, but just, you know, maybe you can cut through 192 by 4s is what they're trying to communicate there. What I'm trying to say is I'm very impressed with the battery life on this. It's not something where, you know, it being battery operated is a huge con because I'm not having to constantly switch out the battery. So I think that's really, really good. So would I recommend this circular saw? The answer is yes, I absolutely would. If you want what this is, a framing saw, if you do a lot of, you know, more rough type woodworking, you know, you're building things like decks or cornhole boards or outdoor furniture, or even you just want something to break down plywood when you're far away from a power source, this is a great tool. I'm super glad I picked this up. This was not sponsored. Milwaukee didn't send me this saw. They don't know I'm making this video. I paid full price for this saw, and I've been super, super impressed with it. So I'm really glad I picked it up. Of course, links are in the description if you want to pick up this exact saw. You know, and if you use the link in the description, it just helps me out a little bit. Milwaukee Packout. Is it just a bunch of overpriced plastic boxes and storage containers? Let's find out in this video. So before I get into all of the different Milwaukee Packout products that I have, what is the basic premise of Packout? Packout is a system of tool storage or supply storage containers that lock together. So right here I've got a normal, you know, small parts organizer, and then a low profile small parts organizer. What makes this so cool is I can take the small parts organizer, lock it in, and then carry both. It's very heavy, but all of the Milwaukee Packout products lock together super tightly, and then I can unlock them here and then go. In my opinion, Packout has kind of two different types of products. Some of their products lean more towards job site, while other of their newer products lean more towards woodworking shops or shops where you're not really transporting tools all that much. You're more just looking for tool storage and organization. So that's kind of what I've leaned into. I personally very rarely go do work on a job site. So for me, like my next Packout purchase is most likely going to be the shop cart that has 4 wheels. You can wheel it around. It has a work surface that clips on top of one of these storage containers. It's gonna be super, super nice. I've seen lots of videos on this. I just haven't bought the bullet to purchase it yet. But those Packouts have drawers that you can pull out cups from those drawers, all of that kind of stuff. So there are Packout products, whether you work on a job site or work in a shop. Now here are the different Packout products that I have. There are a ton, like dozens, maybe hundreds at this point, of Milwaukee Packout products that you can buy. But here are the ones that I have. This is the Milwaukee Packout crate, I think is what it's called. And as you can see, it's just a totally hollow one-piece crate. What's really cool about this is it can lock to a Milwaukee Packout case below, or you can actually mount it to a wall and store stuff in it that way. I don't have a wall mount for this crate right now, something I want to get in the future, but it's kind of nice. This crate, you have versatility to mount it 2 different ways. What I use this crate for is a lot of my power tools that I don't have a box or a bag for. So I keep sanders in here. I've got some Forstner bits. Honestly, there's just, you know, random sandpaper. This needs to be cleaned out. But what's nice is I can put all of my big kind of bulky power tools in this crate, and it makes the shop look a little bit neater. Also, if I'm going to a job site or if I'm taking stuff outside to sand, I can grab this crate and then take it outside. I don't need to be making a ton of different trips in and out of the shop. That might seem like a really small thing, but to me, it is huge. Also, I just will say about this crate and all the Milwaukee products, the quality is, it's, in my opinion, just next level. I am a huge stickler for the way things feel in my hand. I don't like the feel of cheap plastic. I don't like the feel that I'm going to break something if I set it down too hard. And I don't get that feeling at all with Milwaukee Packout products. You can tell that there's quality in the way these things are put together. Up next, I have one of these modular storage systems. I don't know if that's exactly what it's called. I actually have 2 of these. I bought a second one because I love them so much. This is basically the original Packout, or this is kind of, when I think of Packout, this is what I think about. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 little cups that pop out. You can take these anywhere around the shop, which is super handy if I'm working on something over in this area of the shop and I just need some nuts. I don't need to take this entire suitcase. I just have to pull out this cup, head over there, work on what I'm working on, bring it back, drop that in there, close the lid, and it's done. One more awesome thing about this particular product is there is zero clearance between the lid and all of the different cups that are in this tray. So if I were to take this and then take it upside down, shake it around, put it back, everything still is in the same compartment that it was in. A lot of other tool storage systems don't have that feature. And so if you're really like kind of being rough with transportation or whatever, you can open it up and you've got, you know, all the different types of screws mixed up, and it's just a mess. Packout, you don't have to worry about that. To me, that's a really, really key feature. Packout also has another tool storage system that has Kaizen foam in it. Now this one, as you can tell, is pretty much brand new because I haven't cut into the foam whatsoever. But if you have some tools that you want to really make sure aren't rattling around, maybe you are driving to job sites, driving off-road to job sites, and you want to make sure that your tools stay safe, you can take any tool, drill, impact driver, sander, whatever, and cut out custom inserts in this foam for your tools. And so that works very, very well. I love the customability of this. And then you can also take this foam out. So if maybe you need dual use out of this, you can take out your foam insert and just throw in random stuff and it'll kind of rattle around without the foam, but you can get the kind of dual use out of this particular Packout. I think this is called a Packout toolbox. This one is narrower. So when I think about Packout, I think about there's double wide, like those previous ones I showed you, and then you have single wide. I don't know if that's the technical term, but that's how I think about all this stuff. But this right here is obviously much deeper. It's got a tray that pulls out, which is super nice. I have this thing absolutely jam-packed full of stuff. What's nice about this is you can customize how many inserts you want. So if you just want 2 big trays to store stuff, you can, pull out these red dividers. If you want more divisions, you can absolutely put in these red dividers as well. I wish I could tell you exactly what all I store in here, but the truth is right now, this is kind of a catch-all for me. I've got everything from Forstner bits to brad nails to Kreg screws to hinges to a sandpaper eraser. I haven't even told y'all about this, but save that for another video, but this thing's sweet. So yeah, lots of random stuff in here. It's kind of a catch-all for me right now. That's how Packout works. Oh, and this handle is super cool. Look at this. This handle folds up, but then when you fold it down, it's zero clearance and you can stack stuff on top. But you fold it up, I mean, that's pretty sweet. Last Packout product that I personally have is this low profile organizer. Now this is great. I've seen a lot of people use these types of Packouts for electrical things. So wire nuts, wire strippers, all that kind of stuff. But obviously lower profile. This Packout, what I use it for is I actually keep this in my house and I keep kind of like household things in this Packout. So I've got everything from little, pads for furniture to 9-volt batteries for my smoke alarms. I've got, what are these called? Things to mount stuff in the wall. Shower hangers. I mean, you name it, it's in here. AA batteries, AAA batteries, picture hangers. It's all here. What I love about these low profile products is even though it has 10 cups as well, they give you lots of these dividers. So you can actually divide this up into like 20 different sections to store stuff, which is really nice because a lot of times you don't have a ton of, let's say drywall mounts. You just want to store 6 or 7 of these, but know where they are when you need to get them. So these dividers make organization a breeze. Huge fan of this. One more super cool feature about Packouts that really isn't even Milwaukee's doing, it's that there are a ton of people, third-party vendors, who make aftermarket products for Milwaukee Packouts. If you go on Etsy and search Milwaukee Packout products, you will find tons of people who are 3D printing products that fit into a Packout that maybe exactly fit a certain drill, like an M12 drill or an M12 impact driver or whatever it is. You can get so much customability, not only with the initial Packout purchase, but then if you want to even customize further, you can go on Etsy and buy all kinds of products. More and more, I'm wanting to focus on making my shop a clean, creative space that when I walk in, I don't feel stressed out because I see tools and junk everywhere. I'm not there yet, but I see a clean workspace that's kind of like a blank canvas for me to create whatever I want to create. Packout's a huge part of keeping everything for me in my shop organized. Once again, I'm not there perfectly yet, but I'm on my way. Yes, it is the most expensive. Yes, a lot of people will probably be in the comments of this video saying it's a bunch of overpriced plastic boxes. But in my opinion, the quality that you get, it is absolutely worth it. I'm a huge fan of Milwaukee Packout. In my opinion, just try it out before you say it's overpriced. And if you were going to start with one Packout product, I would absolutely start with this kind of base model tool and small parts storage tray. Once again, all of this is linked down in the description, but I'm a huge fan of Packout. I just think it's great. Today, we're going to be comparing the M12 Milwaukee drill and impact driver versus the Milwaukee M18 drill and impact driver. Which one should you buy? Which one works better? What are the pros and cons of each one? We're going to unpack all of that. Let's get started. So we'll start off with the M12 set. Now, once again, this is the drill and impact driver set. It's not the hammer driver, just the kind of base model for the M12 series. Comes in this nice Milwaukee bag. Some people aren't a fan of the bags because they're not stackable, which is true. I don't mind the bags too much. I think they actually have, really comfortable handles that are kind of padded right here. They're really tough. I have never had one of these bags rip. I've worked with, this is my third bag that I've got from Milwaukee. They've never ripped. They're kind of more padded on the bottom as well. I don't know. I kind of like them. And then if you want to ever build like a docking station for your drills and impact drivers, these can fold down super small into storage, so you don't have like these big hard plastic cases. So a lot of people don't like them. I am not a hater of the bags myself. Now, what you get in the bag, you get the drill, which of course comes with M12 battery. You get the impact driver, which also comes with a second M12 battery. That's super nice that it comes with two. And then obviously you get the charger. I'll go over that in just a second. So as far as the overall feel of the drill first, it's definitely much lighter than the M18, which I'll go over in a second. But there's a lot of weight in the shaft, but then once you throw the battery in at the bottom, it's just really well balanced. But it's so light. It's light, but it feels sturdy. That might sound like an oxymoron, but it feels like a very well-made tool. The chuck is metal. There's great grip on it, but yet it is so light and so comfortable in the hand. Like I said, still, even with the battery, a little bit top heavy. Like when I roll my wrist, it wants to kind of fall like that. That doesn't really bother me, but that's just kind of a feel that you'll have with this. It can also stand up. I would not stand this up a lot because it doesn't have a lot that it's standing on right there, but you could stand these up. As far as the impact driver goes, it's even lighter and kind of same thing. Most of the weight's at the top, but this one's even more comfortable than the drill. Super light, but still a great build. All of this around the shaft, that's all metal. The handle grips, it's awesome. Yeah, it just feels great. Feels quality, but they're lightweight as well, which is going to be a huge pro of the M12 set. Now, the first time I got the impact driver and drill set for the M12, I was like, oh man, there's no battery indicator to let you know how much battery life you have. But you actually do right here. It's not on the battery itself, it's on the impact driver and on the drill, which is different from the M18 set. Once you activate the impact driver, it will show you, it has four light indicators there that show you
how full or depleted your battery life is. So this is definitely a plus. One thing I'm not a huge fan of is the fact that the indicators on the impact driver versus the battery, just because you have to put the battery in the drill to see if the battery has a charge. You'll see the difference with the M18. The M18 version, the battery indicator is on the battery, which I kind of like a little bit better just because you don't have to plug it into the drill or impact driver to see how much battery it has. It's a super minor thing. I mean, I like the positioning of it. It looks really cool right there. You just have to plug the battery in to see if it's charged. As far as the drill goes, it has basic functions that any kind of drill like this would probably have. It has 2 speeds. It's got 1 and 2. It has the drilling setting, and then it also has the clutch. So let's say you don't want to torque down on a screw too heavy. You can set the clutch wherever you want it to be. It has the adjustable shaft that feels really, really good. One cool thing about this drill is that if you look at the top, this is not included with the M18, but it gives you the direction of which way to turn the chuck to open up the drill bit or to loosen the drill bit, and then which way to turn the chuck to grip down on the drill bit. I just, probably none of you need that, but I just kind of thought it was cool that they included it. They did not include that on the M18. That's pretty much it. I mean, not a lot of features. It's pretty basic drill and impact driver. Both of these do have little clips that you can clip these into your work belt or on the back of your pants or whatever. And this is also really nice. It's metal. It feels sturdy, feels good. Really, the quality for all of these drills and impact drivers feels really, really good. As far as the charger goes, I mean, it's a charger. It works great. It tells you when your battery is charging. It tells you when your battery is finished charging. It will tell you with light code if your battery is having a malfunction or if your battery is not good anymore. It'll tell you all of that. The charger, it's plastic. It doesn't feel super heavy duty. It does have on the back the mounts, so you can mount this to the side of a workbench or to your drilling storage station or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. I do wish this was a little more heavy duty. With my M18 chargers, I've had 2 in the past, and both of them, something inside the charger breaks loose and rattles around, and you can just hear this plastic thing. It still charges the battery fine. I don't know. I mean, I get it's the charger. Hopefully you're not putting this through the ringer, but I just like things to be tough, and it's plastic. I mean, it's not bad. It is what it is. One more note that I forgot to mention about the bag, which I think is really nice, is that everything fits in the bag really, really easily with room to spare. I think this is maybe just something that I get frustrated with as someone who loves to go camping and the tent never fits back in the bag or the sleeping bag never fits back in the bag. This, I mean, I can just throw stuff in really easily. I don't even have to put it in a certain way. It zips up easily and, it's in your bag. And you got some spare room, which I love as well because you're going to be putting drill bits and maybe some screwdrivers or an extra battery. You're going to want to put other things in the bag. So they gave you about 20 to 30% of extra storage for those things. All right, that's the M12. Let's move on to the M18. Time for the M18 set. Once again, this came in a bag. It's bigger, of course, than the M12 bag, but all the same notes. It's got the padded handles, padded bottom, extra room. It fits in the bag. All those notes are really the same. This set is going to come with the same components. So it's got the impact driver with the M18 battery. It has the M18 drill with a second battery. And then also it has the charger. I told you, this is not new. I've had this for a while, but something starts rattling around inside this charger. I have no idea what it is. It just kind of annoys me. So I'll kind of set that to the side. The charger's pretty standard on this. As far as the feel, once again, this drill feels, really well made for whatever that's worth. And I'll also just say, you can tell these are a little bit more dirty. I've had this drill impact driver set for 4 years, 3, 4, somewhere around there, and they've lasted. I mean, they still work great. I don't feel like I've lost any power with this set. They've been thrown in the back of cars and moved around from different job sites. they've done it all, and they have performed very, very well. The M12 set is a little more new for me. Now, both the drill and the impact driver with the batteries are substantially heavier than the M12 version. This is to be expected. I mean, part of this is probably because the battery is so much bigger, and it's going to have a longer battery life than the M12. I would say this is great for, framing, construction. If you're, drilling holes in wood, obviously this is going to give you more power, whereas the M12 might be better for automotive work if you're under the hood of a car, or if you're installing cabinets, if you're inside of a cabinet. It can be tough holding an M18 drill kind of far away from your body for a long period of time to drill multiple holes or something. I mean, my arm's getting tired just doing that already. So the M12 would probably be better for those lighter applications versus this, which is going to give you longer battery life, more power, all of the above. But still feels quality. Once again, I mean, the shaft around here on the impact driver, this is all metal chuck on the drill, all the way through here. So yeah, very, very quality and well made from my experience. Same features on the drill that the M12 has. It's variable speed. You've got the 1, and then you've got the 2. You have the clutch right here. Doesn't tell you which way to turn the chuck to tighten or loosen, but hey, we all know that, right? Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. It has a nice light right above the trigger. I really like where the lights are on these drills. I've seen some drills that have lights actually connected to the battery, and it kind of like is supposed to shine this way, and I just feel like it'd get in the way. With this light positioned here, really nothing is going to get in the way to obstruct that light, unless you're like, drilling like that or something. But I really like the LED lights. The M12 also has these lights. I just kind of forgot to mention that in the M12 review. Only the impact driver comes with a belt clip. You can attach it to the drill, whereas the M12 set came with 2 belt clips, 1 for each. This set only came with 1 belt clip. That, or whoever made these at the factory just forgot to give me mine. I'm not sure which one is the case. Maybe you'll buy a set and they both have the belt clips, but I only got 1 with this set. Once again, the battery indicator is on the actual battery. I love this feature because you don't have to plug it into the drill to see where your battery's at. I know that might seem like a really small thing, but I've done projects where I have had the truck where all of our tools are. It's far away from what we're building. Me and my dad one time built a pavilion out in the woods, and we had our truck parked 200 yards away. And if he's like, hey, go get a battery from the truck, if I look at a battery and don't have a drill to put it in, I want to know if the battery's charged or not. So, it'll tell you this right off the bat without having to plug it into the drill like on the M12 set. Once again, that might be just me being super picky, but I just think it's really nice that you can tell how much charge is in the batteries without plugging it into anything. All right, enough of me talking. Let's fire up these drills and impact drivers, see what they can do, and then I'll give you my final thoughts here in just a second. So I'm going to start with the M12. I have a 1/2-inch drill bit. I'm going to be drilling through some maple, which is a hardwood. This 1/2-inch drill bit will give a lot of resistance. I'm not going to do the whole how many holes can I drill before the battery runs out between the two. The M18 is going to last longer than the M12. I'll just go ahead and tell you that right now. However, I do want to see how the M12 can perform while drilling into a hardwood with a pretty wide hole. Okay, so far this is pretty slow going. I wasn't wanting to just absolutely bore the drill down into the hardwood, but it even started to smoke. There was some heat buildup that happened. Could be a dull drill bit, but you can really tell that this is not a powerful drill for, drilling through thick pieces of maple or other hardwoods. Let's go ahead and try the M18 and see how it holds up. Okay, so M18, pretty much what we expected. It was able to do substantially more than the M12 was able to do. I drilled almost all the way through this scrap piece of maple. Did it pretty easily with the same drill bit. So, for drilling, boring holes, the M18, especially if you're doing, with wider bits or multiple the M18 is going to be your better option. Not to say that the M12 can't do it. The M18 is just a more powerful, longer lasting battery life drill. Right here what I'm doing is driving this 1.5 inch screw straight into the maple with the M12 driver. Okay, this is where the M12 set really impresses me. It had no problem driving this screw, no pilot hole, nothing, straight into this hard maple. And I mean, yeah, I wasn't bearing down at all. The driver did all of the work. And so, I mean, super, super impressive with this. Once again, this is nice for installing cabinets, things like that. Here, I'm driving the exact same screw into the same board to compare power. So the M12 did a great job driving the screw. The M18 just powers through. No pilot hole, same screw. Even though it's hard maple, I mean, it drives it in there like it's nothing. So the M18s are definitely going to be more powerful for really anything. The pros of the M12 is the lighter weight. Okay, so pros and cons. What should you buy, the M12 or the M18? I'll preface this by saying, and this probably sounds like a cop-out answer, but I really love both of these sets for different reasons. If you are going to be doing framing, lots of pilot holes or lots of screws, anything like that, the M18 set's going to be better for you. I mean, they're more powerful, their batteries last longer. On the test where I drove the screw into the hard maple, I mean, the M18 driver just blew away the M12 driver. M12 driver was still great, and it didn't feel like it was struggling, but the M18 is just a whole nother level of efficiency and power. Same with the drills. Really, the M12 drill struggled to make any kind of indent into that hard maple with the 1/2 inch drill bit. Whereas it takes time, but the M18 can drive, bore a hole in that very, very efficiently. So more powerful here for the M18s. The M12s, though, they are generally going to come at a lower price point, so that's nice. But really, that's not why I would recommend this. I would recommend this if you need a lightweight drill to get into small places. Once again, they still drive great. And so if you're installing cabinets, if you're doing anything like in automotive work where you just don't want to have a super heavy drill away from your body, I'm telling you guys, the M12 is a great, great purchase.
Is this M18 router by Milwaukee the new gold standard for compact routers? Let's find out. Okay, so first up, let me show you what is in the box, what comes in the box. They package this very efficiently. We have our dust collection port right here, alternate router base, and the actual router, along with instructions and these little catalogs that make you want to buy more Milwaukee tools. I don't know why they include these in the box. Anyways, I'll check out that later. Man, this is packaged really nicely. Also, there's a lot more that comes. Ooh, an edge guide. There's a lot more that comes in this box than in like Ryobi router, or the Ryobi router that I reviewed on the channel a couple months back. This is a little more expensive router. You're going to be getting a little bit more with it. Now, the package I got does not come with batteries. You can, of course, get packages that do come with batteries, and I'll link the different batteries down in the description that you can use with this router. But, wow. Right out of the packaging, this feels really good. It feels comfortable in the hand. It's got great weight to it. It might almost be a little too heavy. We'll talk about that in a second. But this looks really good. Let me unpackage this real quick. Okay, so after unpackaging everything, once again, you got your hardware to mount your edge guide and also the hardware to mount your dust collection port. I kind of wish this plastic felt a little more robust than it does. I mean, this is Milwaukee. This is the makers of Milwaukee Packout, the best storage system in the world. And then they give me like this cheap plastic dust port. I don't know. I mean, it just kind of feels like if I drop this on the floor right now, it would probably shatter. So I'm not a huge fan of that. Kind of the opposite from like this base here though. This feels really good. This router base right here feels really good. Anyways, going back to the router, feels really, really great in the hands. When you pick this up, it's just got what I call good weight. It doesn't feel cheap. All of these components are metal. This fixed base is metal with a little hard rubber grip here. One thing that I think is also important for routers is you don't want them to be too wide. And because if you're like holding a router with your hands really open, it's just going to get uncomfortable, especially if you're using your router for a long period of time. This does not have that problem. This is very, very comfortable in the hands. I even love like this adjustment here. That's fully metal, which I really, really like. Yeah, just the way this feels is so good. A couple of features before we fire up this router. This is a variable speed router, okay? That's really, really nice. Once again, just as a reminder, when you're routing, the more material that your bit is going to remove, the more you want to slow down the speed of that bit. So if you're using like a pretty chunky roundover bit, let's say, maybe like a 1/2 inch roundover, that's removing a good bit of material. And so you're gonna wanna slow down the speed of your router. However, if you're doing like, a maybe 1/8 inch roundover and you're just barely touching up the sides of like a cutting board or something, well, then you could speed your router up and remove that material more quickly. So when you adjust your speed based on the size of your bit, it's going to give you more safe and more accurate cuts. It's going to be less likely to run away from you. Your router's not going to run away from you. So just kind of keep that tip in mind. Because of that, I never will buy a router that doesn't have variable speed. To me, every router, in my opinion, needs variable speed. This one has that. You're also going to get 2 LED lights with this. We will check those out in a second, but I like the fact that it has 2. Good lighting, in my opinion, is very underrated when it comes to really just woodworking in general. If you can't see your cut lines, if you can't see what you're doing, it can lead to inaccurate cuts or maybe even getting your finger too close to a blade or something like that. Another great feature about this router is that you can take this fixed base off, and this doesn't come in the package, but you can buy an accessory plunge base. And I'm pretty sure that's what this is for, is when you attach the plunge base to your router, which you could also just attach this if you wanted like a wider base. But that's a really nice feature. I don't know personally that I would use a plunge base with this router for most of my applications. Like when I use a plunge router, for me, in my shop at least, it's usually because I'm surfacing a slab, like an epoxy and like an epoxy coffee table or a live edge slab or a cookie. There's no way I would use this router for that. To me, this router is like, let's put in some edge profiles, maybe if we're doing dovetail inlays in a jig or something like that. So I didn't get the plunge base, but it is nice to have that as an option. I really haven't seen that with most compact routers like this. One more nice feature is if you want to do macro adjustments to the height of your bit, you got this button right here, so you can adjust everything. There is a little indicator on the side, but I wouldn't trust that too much. I kind of wish this had positive stops right here in the main cylinder so you could stop at 1 inch or 2 inches, but that's pretty nitpicky, honestly. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put a battery in. This is the M18 1.5 amp battery. And I love how the lights come on. You maybe can see this. The 2 LED lights come on. They don't stay on, but right when you put the battery in, they're on for a few minutes. Once the battery's installed, this, once again, pretty weighty router. I think it's mostly good weight. I like having some weight with the router, but man, especially if you were to put a bigger battery on here, this would get pretty heavy if you're routing for a long period of time. So just kind of something to think about. I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think that's kind of how it is. All right, so let's turn this on speed 1. One thing I'm not a fan of is that it doesn't have a soft start. I really wish this kind of had a soft start. I'm going to go up to number 4 speed. It's got a quick stop, which I like that. Almost sounds like there's a brake being thrown on there. But yeah, I wish it had a softer start. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit of a soft start. It starts quick and it stops quick. I love that it stops quick. Wish I had a soft start. That's just me. Yeah, honestly, this feels great. Really excited about trying out a few things with this router. The first thing we're going to try out is I'm going to do some flush trimming on a charcuterie board that I'm working on. And by the way, if you're interested in seeing that video, it's going to be coming out in a few weeks if it's not out already. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and you'll see that video come out. But we're going to test this router by doing some edge trimming on that charcuterie board. Then we might put it through a couple of other tests and I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, before I give you my final thoughts on how this router held up, how the battery life was, all that kind of stuff, if this video has been helpful for you, if you could just hit the like button, it's right below the screen. That's just kind of the way to give back on YouTube, and it really means a lot to me. So hit the like button. Also, if you're interested in more tool reviews, I review a ton of Milwaukee stuff, a lot of other brands too. Subscribe. Love to have you around for future tool reviews, woodworking projects, things like that. All right, let's go ahead and give you my final thoughts on this Milwaukee router. So after running this router for a little bit, honestly, I am really, really impressed. I like the way it handled. I felt very comfortable using this router in an actual project, like in an actual builds that I'm currently working on. So honestly, y'all, I'm a huge, huge fan of this Milwaukee router. To be honest, for projects like I just did, which is something I do with most of my palm routers, I'm usually doing roundovers on a cutting board or chamfers on a cutting board or edge profiling. This is going to be my new go-to router. I love that it's battery powered, and so you're not having to worry about extension cords. That's always a pain. I hate getting out extension cords. Battery life was pretty solid. Now, this is the 1.5 amp, so really I should probably get a better or more high capacity battery for this router. I'm just going to add that to my shopping list, I guess. And I'll link some that Milwaukee has down in the description of this video. But for this project right here, I did the edge routing on this little charcuterie board. And, it probably was 7 minutes of routing, and I went through an entire battery. So from full to absolutely dead. Which once again, I was going over this a couple of times. I was doing some back routing. This is a hardwood. It's pretty thick. So it was probably a good bit of stress on that battery. I would have liked to see the battery life be a little bit better, but once again, this is a 1.5 amp battery. It's like the lowest amp battery in the M18 line, and so I'm not really putting that on the router as much as I am my personal battery selection. Overall, if you're looking for a compact battery powered router, this is the best one that I've ever used. This is a Milwaukee one that I reviewed on the channel a while back, and it's solid for a budget router, but it does not compare to this Milwaukee. Hands down, this is the best compact router I've ever used, and I really recommend it to you.